My garden really needed a reset by the middle of August this year. The paths were disappearing, and the thought of walking through the overgrown spots made my skin crawl. Just imagine the spiders hiding in there. Today's video shows me trying to get back some semblance of order. I'm also going to share a few thoughts on setting some garden routines and tending our gardens. I'm not an expert on any of this, and if I'm honest, I'm sharing this to encourage myself as much as anyone. Thanks for being here, and I hope you find this encouraging and helpful. I've been thinking a lot about routines recently. I've had a love-hate relationship with them for years. They can feel either liberating or confining, depending on my mood. But I know myself well enough by now that I operate better with at least a few good routines in place. I'm learning that how I approach my routines matters almost as much as the routines themselves. I like routines better now because I know they're not an end in themselves. I think so often I have gotten stuck mentally trying to make new routines because I thought the routine was the thing. It's not the thing. A routine usually has an end goal, and if I understand that end goal, I can give the routine the respect it deserves but not more power than it needs. Take my new garden, for instance. I've been trying to establish a list of routines this summer, things like cut flowers or deadhead spent blooms once a week, irrigate 3 to 4 times a week, do a quick weeding of all the beds once every 2 to 3 weeks, show up and work in the garden at least 4 to 5 times a week, spray for bugs once a week, fertilize once a week, make bouquets once a week. None of these things are the goal. The goal is to have flowers, to make bouquets, but to do it in a way that preserves my sanity and allows time to finish setting up my new garden. This list of jobs is just a means of getting to that goal. Some of these are more important than others, and I've only regularly done 2 of the most important ones. But I am hitting my end goals. I've made some bouquets, I've made progress in my first-year plan for this garden, and I've still got my sanity. I'm hitting my goals even if I don't have all my routines down. It's comforting for me to have a list of routines. When I get derailed and need to get back on track, then I can just look through my list and start again. It's the nature of gardening to begin again and again and again. Every season is a fresh start, but in the middle of a season, we can have a little reset just by picking up a routine that we've let go. I didn't tend my garden as well this year as I had hoped I would. The to-do list was just too big, and I'm the only one doing the work this year, so I let quite a few things slide. I know it was necessary, but by the second week of August, I realized that I was avoiding the garden for a number of different reasons. Tending a garden isn't a glamorous job, and sometimes it's hard to find the motivation to get out there and do the work. It's dirty and it feels endless. Sure, we get a bit of a break in the coldest months, but since the plants in our garden are always either growing or dying, the job of tending never really ends. A garden taken altogether can be overwhelming. There's this saying about eating an elephant one bite at a time, and that's just the kind of principle that works here. There isn't a day long enough to tend to everything in my garden, but there is time in most days to take at least a bite. I think guilt has kept me out of the garden more this year than any other year. I felt guilty for not using all the flowers, even though I decided this year is more about learning and setting up the garden and not so much about using the flowers. But finally in August, I did get past all my mental hurdles and started clearing up the garden bit by bit. I have about a month, maybe a month and a half, until our first frost here in Ohio. Once that rolls around, it'll be easy and even a relief to have the freedom to clear out the rest of the leftovers. But until then, if I can stick with it, there's a lot of beauty left to enjoy in the garden. The thing that's lured me into the garden more than anything else this year are the dahlias I planted from seed. Now, I've grown dahlias from seed before, but they were from seeds someone else collected. The dahlia seeds I sowed this year were ones I collected from some of my favorite dahlias. I'm keeping track of the parent plants these seeds came from, and it's been fascinating to see resemblances and differences. Mostly, I'm tickled with a few fabulous little beauties that have showed up. So excited about those. Anything worth doing is going to take work and persistence. Some of the beauty that comes to us through our gardens is what we learn. Yes, flowers are beautiful, but tending a garden can also teach us so much about life, about the courage to try hard things, to keep going when we feel like giving up. We're tending gardens, but we're also tending our souls.